there's a big problem in here, and what I'm about to say can sound that I'm saying that women have no agency. But I need you to listen to maybe a couple minutes while I elaborate this. Imagine a girl who is 14 or 15 years old. We know that that was the sweet spot for Jeffrey Epstein. That's what the reports say, that was the sweet spot for Jeffrey Epstein's liking. And you are taking from, you're going to prey on vulnerable girls. You're going to go for vulnerable homes, or broken homes, and divorced parents. That's the manipulator's handbook. And you go for those girls, you ask them, you just have to give Jeffrey a massage. Maybe the first time, maybe the second time, it's just a massage as well. She gets paid, she gets money, she enjoys that, she comes back. And then the third time is more like than a massage, the kind of massage that you're thinking. And the fourth time, they, let's say there's a statutory rape, right? That is the term, okay? And it happens. And the problem with this is that you have like this ramp into how to manipulate the girl, who is, of course, immature, 14 to 15 years old, into accepting this. And a girl that comes from a vulnerable family, and she's a vulnerable herself, that is vulnerable psychologically, it would be easier to do this. And you basically, when she needs money, because she's enjoying the money, she's going to go back to Epstein. And I certainly, again, won't blame anyone, because I don't know the circumstances of their lives. Because the idea of a manipulator is to go for the most vulnerable people. So the girl comes back maybe once every couple months to do the thing with Jeffrey, until she becomes an adult. And maybe she's not that attractive to Jeffrey anymore. Maybe she's still attractive to Jeffrey. We don't know. And Jeffrey says, you know how you can make more money? You can tell your friends. You can, I don't know, tell more girls to come here. And by that point, after years of conditioning of this guy, yeah, there's a brainwashing involved. She begins doing the deeds. I'm not saying that every single victim is going to go through this. But I'm saying that if you pick the right victim, the process is basically has been repeated many times, millions of times through the history of humanity, both with girls and boys as well. So that's one thing. So that is the complexity of this. That you can't just jump. Oh yeah, they were traffickers as well. Yeah, they might have been traffickers at 19 years old, 20 years old. But do you know what happened 5 years before that? We don't know. We don't exactly know. We don't know what were their circumstances. We don't know what brought them to Jeffrey in the first place. We don't know how Jeffrey treated them. You know how many of these diaries and photos and letters to Jeffrey, how nice you are for paying my tuition, for paying this. Maybe he, Jeffrey Epstein, for 1 or 2 years, or not 1 or 2 years, maybe 6 months, he was this benefactor with them. And only then they began, ramping up the intensity of the manipulation. That can happen. So I can't, knowing human nature, I have been studying human nature for decades. I have been studying men and women for decades. At every age, the development of the psyche and how people can be manipulated into doing terrible things, and how they feel that they simply can't get out of that cycle. Oh, they should have known. It's more complicated than they should have known. But again, I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Bottle Language Guy. Much love and bliss. Again, this is not a, this is, I'm going to say a word. This is a word that can sound insensitive, but it's a word that I, as a researcher, I would use. The problem is that this is disgusting, of course, but it's at the same time how manipulators have learned, because this is a knowledge that has been passed. The ability to manipulate people this way has been passed and refined through hundreds of years. This is no different. The way Jeffrey Epstein manipulated this way, the way that I described this manipulation, is the same way that happened 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. This has not changed. It has only evolved because every manipulator has memoirs or notes, or has this, I don't know, this $5 a month a group that, hey, you know, we hang out to know how can we manipulate women better. It is a thing. And there's so many examples of that out there right now. And sadly, so many of those manipulators get away with that. Precisely because they get away, and in instances, I'm going to describe to you what is called this is something that is one of the reasons why Andrew Tate was so controversial, and he had this prosecutions open, but he has not been convicted of anything because of how difficult it is. And he has denied something that everybody knows that he did, which is basically the lover boy method. And he had this degree, this course called the PhD, which was a pimping host degree. That's what PhD meant to him. And what was the process? The process is basically you have to get yourself a Ghislaine Maxwell. And what do I mean to you have to get yourself a Ghislaine Maxwell? You have to look for a woman who is persuasive, who is cunning. Ghislaine Maxwell, that is patience zero. Once I'm telling you something that he explained on that course. That course, people, I think it was this guy, Milk Bar TV. He uploaded the course to his account, so you could see what Andrew Tate was teaching men in his courses. So you get one first girl, one lady that has to be stunning, has to be beautiful, has to adore you and whatever, and ideally doesn't have any problem with doing OnlyFans work. And once you have patient zero, which is that first lady, then you begin to use that lady to look for other girls. And this is from Andrew Tate. The first single most important thing is that you have to make sure that the new girls fall in love with you. That is the single most important thing. Because the idea, like there was this pipeline. Well, what's the pipeline? What's the business model? The business model is that you had to pimp OnlyFans models. That was his business model. I don't know what, like in 2018, 2019. And I told you that I joined the war room, Andrew Tate's war room in 2020. So I had the opportunity to look at some of the stuff that was going on there. But one of the most important things that he explained is that, and you can see it for yourself, is that you have to make sure that the lady fell in love with you and to have sex with her. You know that, with the chemistry of men and women, you of course make the woman fall in love with you. You have sex with her that will just wreck her hormones. And after that, she will just go head over heels over you. And he said, and that's when you can begin, suggesting the idea that maybe, have you thought of doing, sexy camera work And he began creeping that idea. Why don't you do? You are so beautiful. You should be doing OnlyFans, but nothing out of the ordinary. Maybe showing your boobs and that's it. And yeah, that is the way. You're seeing the parallels, right, with the process that I described of the Epstein thing. You go step by step, and very important, you need a Ghislaine Maxwell that is the patient zero, and this is the one who is gonna be like the general of the group. And you, at the same time, you inject this idea to the girl or the woman that she's not going to be exclusive. That, I'm not going to be exclusive to you. I'm going to have all your girlfriends. So you see that Andrew Tate says that all the time. I have many women. I don't get married. I have many girlfriends. What do you have? What color of your Bugatti and all this stuff? And yes, that he, just in case you want to understand, he basically he perfected the thing of man messaging these models. I don't know how many models he had. I don't know if he had, 10 or 20 of them. But then he perfected the model of messaging the man who sent the biggest tips to make it seem as if these girls were in love with this man. So that's why they began asking them for money, for stuff, for gifts. And this man, that men nowadays are in desperate need for this connection of any sort, even with an OnlyFans model. That's why men pay for OnlyFans, because they need some sort of connection with a woman. Even if that woman is a model, an OnlyFans model, they're paying for that. They pay for that connection. And they don't realize that they're not sending messages to the lady. They're sending messages to a man. Maybe I don't know, a guy hire a virtual assistant in India, pretending to be the girl, and say, "Oh yeah, I need this gift and such and such." And just they made a lot of money with this, and they invested that money in more stuff. But basically that was a lot of money involved. But yeah, that is the lover boy method. That is something that has been around again for hundreds of years, even thousands of years, that have been perfected time and time again. And nowadays we have social media, and nowadays we have the internet, which makes it all the more easy with a flash of Instagram, of everything, to do this kind of stuff.